Are you ready to embark on a journey of success? To discover your true potential in the untold stories of careers in life sciences? Welcome to Pathfinder by the Purdue Institute of Inflammation, Immunology and Infectious Disease. With your host, Tommy Soares, discover the untold stories of industry scientists and unveil the secrets to excelling in your career. Thank you for joining us once again, and remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Welcome, everybody. My name is Tommy Soares. I'm Director of Scientific Strategy and Relations for the Purdue Institute of Inflammation, Immunology and Infectious Disease. And today on Pathfinder, I'm back at 16 Tech Innovation District in Indianapolis, Indiana, with Gopinath Jaganmohan, who is the co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of ConverSight. He has spent over 16 years in the technology space, most recently as principal architect at Cognizant Technology Solutions, where he founded their Internet of Things labs and Center for the Future of Work. ConverSight is Gopinath's third startup, with 2 successful exits from previous ventures in the business intelligence and software as a service architecture. Welcome to Pathfinder, Gopi. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today and to tell us a little bit about your story and about this awesome and very exciting startup that you have started here. And just to let you know, to be clear, I know nothing about this area, so I hope my questions aren't going to be too naive for you. But I'm so interested in this particular area that you're really pioneering. So welcome to the program, and thank you for taking time to speak to me today.
Thank you, Tommy, and thanks for inviting me for the podcast. And hello, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Gopi, this is as much a podcast that tells our audience not only what you're doing now, but what was the preparation? What was the initial inspiration for you to get into technology? What's in your past that you can share with us that would be poignant for us to know about, and that could be something to talk about the past that prepared you for this future?
Sure. I have to go back in my memory lane, like it should be like 25 years, right?
Okay.
I'm a big fan of any AI movies that time. So I hope people can connect with me, like with RoboCop and Independence Day and all that, right?
Yes.
And I got so hung up with that. I always wanted to do something around AI on that, right? So when I say AI, so it's like an AGI. And I started doing something at my home, like with whatever I have at the time. And I always have that side by, right? And that's the initial starting point or a seed for me.
Yeah.
Right. And I graduated computer science. And then while I was actually doing that, I also had a little inclination towards startup. So I was actually doing small a side business, I would say, right? I was actually doing in computer assembling and providing this to my friends, and I had a small profit around it. Second, there was another startup. We can call it as a startup or a small sideshow, which I was actually doing at the time. This is all around my college days, right?
Yeah.
Parallelly when I was actually learning all that. So then I started the career in Cognizant. I myself from a family where I couldn't able to like spend time on learning. I have to take my job. That's my financial status at the time.
Yes.
So I took a job at ConverSight. Cognizant. Sorry, it all starts with C. So Cognizant. And though I started my career there, parallelly, I was learning a lot of AI stuffs. Everybody knows about Andrew Ng, and and there are a lot of other people at the same time, and it's like around like 2008-9 time frame, right? So there was this open classes, right? Just was created by Andrew Ng of his own personal interest, and I started taking those AI classes, right? I was following AI at the time, neural network. Then I was actually following genetic programming, which is not even talked about today with all this LLM, right? And I took a lot of classes from open YouTube Stanford classes on AI.
Yeah.
I was in India, so I took all this in my nighttime, learn things up, right? That's how it's all self-taught. Um, and so this was going along, and then even within Cognizant, after all this, I said I actually wanted not to be in delivery, and I went into technology. So before that, I worked with various different clients, like from telecom, from retail, insurance. So I have a broad spectrum of business domain knowledge. But I said, no, I don't like all this. I actually wanted to get into technology. So I went into global technology office where I incubated platforms and small micro startups. So that's where the future of work and IoT platforms, which I developed, and we actually took it to our customers. Then 2015 from India, so this all happened in India, and I actually moved to US. I met Ganesh, my another co-founder. He's also from Cognizant. And we both thought about, like, I came up with all this technology AI. I actually wanted to do something. And he came up with a business. And we said, hey, we have a big problem in business where people wanted to, this is way back in 2016, right? The discussion. We said, a BI solution, right? And people, he is in a BI solution. He was actually creating lots of reports, like 1,600 reports, 2,000 reports for our customers. And they are spending a lot of money, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And when we both connected together, what we thought is that, hey, why? Because they ask for it. We spend 3 months. By the time we give this report, nobody's using it, right?
Yeah.
Because the decision-making time has already passed, right?
Yeah.
And they are spending for it. What if we actually can bring up a technology where they can ask questions? This is 2017, not when there is LLM or not anything, right? Uh,
Yeah.
hey, let's bring out something where people ask questions, and we will provide insight to them,
Right.
right?
Right.
This all happened in an co-working space in Columbus, Indiana, right? It's called Fish Tank. We still have that. Uh,
Okay.
we have to cherish the memory. So we both were discussing that. That's when the idea started, and we were started working on all that ideas, right? So 2016, like 3-4 months, we worked on, and then we said, okay, let's start it. There are various reasons to it, right? One is I was like 36 at the time, and he was around like 40. And we thought, hey, this is the time to start. If we leave this time, and even if you're just thinking about it, we will miss the boat. And because we are already there in the middle.
Yes.
Right? We said, okay, let's take the risk. Let's do it. Like 2016 end, I quit. We started it. We started with a name called ThickStat, and then we changed it to ConverSight. And from simple BI conversational platform, like with now we have the entire, we call it as unified integrated platform for anything analytics. So we are not just analytics and BI, we are also operational intelligence platform for a lot of our manufacturing customers today. And a lot of big manufacturing customers use our platform or like our website day to day to run their shop floors. So the platform moved away from the business intelligent AI to AI in operational space for us. So that's the journey which I have actually gone through from me dreaming about AI and building an AI today.
Oh, wow. This is so incredible. And it's such a really new it's a new topic area for so many people. I'm not sure they all understand. I don't understand many of the ramifications and impact of how what you said in just a few minutes, how it's going to change the world. And Gopi, just as a comment, I mean, the year is now 2024. The year of 2023 changed our lives forever with large language models, LLMs, that you talk about. And I mean, can we talk a little bit just about that for a second? Tell us the impact. How does this work? And what, when we talk about business intelligence, uh, what are we really talking about there, especially with large language models?
Okay. So to talk about large language model, like most of the people who are in academics today, they would be using in one form or other form of LLM today, right? And most of these models are not new. They are there for almost like 5, 6 years, right? And they started very simple, small, but everything snowballed into where we are today when they increased the size of the model, right? And they could able to do it because of the improvement in hardware and other things, right?
Right.
So these two, the hardware improvements, and when they started, and so we have like the state where we are in today is not because all started in 3 years. It's all because of the digital age first. So when we started like acquiring all this digital information like Wikipedia or all the information like GitLab and whatever it is there in the internet, it's all fed into the LLM today, right? And
Yes.
LLMs are like very simple as our, I can bring it down to a level where it's like our brain where it is actually interconnected with neurons as our brain. So that's a neural network is all about. But in very simple term, these are like matrix, different matrix in the memory where you are actually going to just everything is represented as in numbers. And what we are trying to do is we are actually trying to do a function approximation, right? A very billion parameter function approximation from simple y is equal to MCCE. We are actually talking about where M is one parameter here or one coefficient. When neural network, we are actually talking about billions of parameters here. And so it's a big equation which the neural network is trying to solve at the right? And that's the LLM now, right? So now there are a lot of information stored within LLM, right? And most of the LLM today are generative model where it actually predicting the next token based on what we provide. Okay. The rampification here, so is multifold, right? One, I always talk about this one particular problem, right? Or not a problem, the challenges we have today, right?
Yeah.
One of the challenges is taking, let's say, a person comes from a college fresh out of, right? And now he is going to come to work. Let's take an example of the IT industry or where we are in, right? And now they are actually going to come to a work, but the problem they have is that they have some ideas. They have been given work. Now, the problem they have is the gap of the skill, right? The first and foremost is most of these LLM is actually going to reduce this skill gap, right? And it is happening. It happened and it's happening. And even within our company, I said, hey, just go and use ChatGPT. Their productivity has increased.
Yes.
Right? Yes, it is hallucinating. Yes, it is actually giving sometimes wrong. But to come up to the first skeleton, it actually takes time for people. Now, with LLM, they get the snippet. Now they have to just work on fine-tuning part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the first one, right? The first ramification is LLM is going to definitely help reduce the skill gap. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The second part of it is it is actually going to reduce a lot of rudimentary work which everybody does, right? In the past, let's assume that when we actually open up a job, right, in our website, I'm just taking one example for each one of it, right? And when we say there are a lot of jobs, there are going to be a lot of resumes, right?
Yes.
And how are we going to validate these resumes? Who is good, who is bad, who has the right skill set, right? And LLM is going to help us there, right?
Yeah.
And this comes into the play of analytics. These are analytics, right? The first one might not be the analytics, but it is actually going to help the analytics to do the work. The
Sure.
second is basically these are analytics where now I can feed document to it, and now actually I can get something which I can work on. So it is going to, again, it is going to increase the productivity and efficiency, right? And also we are going to become much more efficient. And these are rudimentary work not everybody want to do, and this can be handed over to LLM, right?
Yeah.
So that is the second part of it,
Yeah.
right? The third is very, very going to be interesting. And I'm eagerly doing research. I'm actually waiting for it. Agents. If you're not talking about agents, if it's LLM, I'm making a sin here, right? So the next evolution in LLM is agents, right? I can't give a work to LLM today. I can just give a question. It is going to answer me. What
Mm.
if I can give it a work? It can actually can complete. Might not be a big one. Let's take an example of, hey, let's analyze my sales data, right? And come up with a campaign which I can run, right, for 10 days with all these constraints and for this particular market.
Yes.
And also, this is my budget, right?
Right.
And you have to spend 10% of the budget for each of the region. This is
Yes.
really, really complex today, right?
Yes.
And you can't just ask an LLM to do it. It is going to come up with something, but that is not the actual work, right? So
Yes.
what if we can actually create a multi-agent and leave this task to it, right? And the agent does everything at the back. It comes back and say, hey, this is my recommendation. It still can be a recommendation. And
Yes.
this is a Jarvis moment I talk about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So exciting. And you know, you have to understand, like I am like so buzzing with excitement just at the way that these things are going to be able to and that are changing business and business operations and all of the minutia stuff that you're talking about, all of the time consuming tasks that we don't need to make a better decision, right? I mean, we all need the time consuming task to generate the data to then be able to make the proper decision. But the way you're explaining it, we're going to be able to use this to make progress so much better, build better scenario models of like, oh, this is the outcome if I choose to go down this path, and be able to model that and be able to make the decision making process so much easier, right? It's awesome.
It's going to be like it will come up with the first set of it'll come up with a model, it'll come up with analysis it has to do, then it has to select which one is best, right? Let's assume it actually implement a game theory in it. It assumes that it actually implements a min-max algorithm in it, right? It travels the tree to find out the best option for it. Today, it is actually really a time-consuming work, even
Yes.
for an analyst, right? And nobody wants to do this grunt work.
Right.
And those can be handed over to the LLMs, agents, right? Yeah.
I love this agents concept too, because you can also I can also foresee a time where we would give the agent the task of do this A, B test, alpha, beta test, these two particular lines, marketing, whatever it might be, so that, and then you come back, give me the data, give me your recommendation of what would be the best way to proceed with this marketing plan or whatever it might be. And so exciting about that.
Yeah, that's going to be the future, and that's going to be we are heading. Everybody is heading. The challenges are the infrastructure,
Yeah.
the software to run these computational agents. We do have some open source and all that, but that is not going to cut. It's good for research purpose, right?
Yeah.
But when it actually comes to the real world, it's going to be like everybody know about this Kubernetes and cloud. There is going to be something called agent clouds, where you can deploy these agents, and then you come back and you actually get an output. So where I've heard about a book called Bob Universe.
Okay.
Yeah. So there, the concept is something like this. It's more in the future, and the person dies. They actually scan the brain, and they actually have the brain imported into, uploaded into an container, like an crystal or something, right?
Mm.
What they do is, the actual concept is good. Basically, what they do is that they actually attach a numeric computer to along with the brain. So brain can think, right? The it's an artificial brain can think, but the computation is done by a separate module which is all clubbed together. That's how I envision how the infrastructure is going to be for these agents, where the LLM comes into play, right?
Yeah.
Multiple LLMs and there is also a computational task, which is married together to it.
Mm.
Today we do that, like using the LLM function calling and all that. But I say that's like, we are just scrapping the ice, right? So tip of the iceberg. And these infrastructure is going to be like massive for the future.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. Tell me, tell me, you in particular in ConverSight, what particular industries, what businesses are you guys specializing in, or is there a specialty? I mean, this is so ubiquitous. I couldn't imagine a company, an institution, a business, an organization not wanting to take advantage of such powerful technology that is coming down the line. And I know you and I are talking about the future, like, oh, this is the future. But come on, in 5 to 10 years, we might have some agents already, infrastructure to be able to do what you're talking about with an agent's cloud base, right?
Yeah. So ConverSight is analytical platform, right? And it's an integrated end-to-end analytical platform. What that mean, right? So the platform starts from ingesting data into it, right? So you can have, like, if you take any business, so the data is going to be in some ERPs, right? The data is going to be in some CRMs. There are a lot of unstructured data like manuals and all that, right?
Yes.
Now you wanted to access all this data, and you might actually have to load that data into the data lake and all that. So that is the ingestion pipeline. So we have multi-connectors where we can actually pull all that into one place, right? That's the first one. So data ingestion, data storage in data lake.
Mm.
The second part is, now you have to actually do an exploratory analysis on top of it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, LLM can do, agent can do, but as of today, there are a lot of data scientists, and you actually wanted to write any pipelines and flows. So ConverSight at the middle provides this AI workbench, where any data scientist or data engineers can come and explore data, and they can actually create model within that.
Mhm.
Right. And we have something called data pipeline and data engineering like Airflow. So those are like you create once and then deploy it within the platform with zero ML. So basically, that is one of the thing, right? We have is zero DevOps concept, where you don't need somebody to like publish it. So everything is there, and once it is published, it becomes collaborative. People can subscribe to it, they can use it. So these models, right? That is
Gotcha.
the second part. The last part is where the entire crux comes into play, where we call it as the Athena, right? And this is where you actually do question and answer on whatever you created at the back, right? And so we have three component to it. One is a proactive one, right? So every day to run a business, you need some set of information, right? Let's assume that you are in a manufacturing shop floor, and you have to manufacture. Then you need parts, right?
Mm.
And most of the time you go there, you open a dashboard, you see, hey, my parts are not there. But what we do is we actually proactively send as a Twitter like feed. It's like a Twitter like feed. Every day, the Athena finds out all these interesting things and it actually push it to the respective people, right? What they are actually taking care of it. So that's like proactively we push information even before they come in, right? So
I
that is
see.
the first part of the ConverSight platform where the business use it. The second is the typical storyboard. As any BI and visualization, people can come in. So once they see this, they come here, they can actually take it. The third part is where the Athena comes in, where they can ask questions. See, our idea is that, hey, if we know this is going to be what they want, why they have to come and ask first? So that's the reason we start with the proactive insights and we end with the conversation where people can come and ask questions on it, right?
Mm.
And the LLM is actually used in the conversational part for us. And there are a lot of other models which we run behind the scene for the proactive insights. And even within when you ask a question, we'll actually bring in other interesting information, all based on the AI model which we have. And the third part is we have something called control tower. You had a question that, hey, are we unique to one particular industry? When I talked about it, you know that this platform can be used across industries. Since we came from a supply chain background, we are very unique in supply chain. And like I would say 70-80% of our customers are from manufacturing, supply chain, or retail, right? We are very strong in it. But we also have customers from the financial and other areas. But the solution team within we have is strong in supply chain, but the platform can be used across any customers.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I want to touch on the point you made about integration of data and how your team just essentially is able to take all these data sources and be able to integrate. That must be extremely challenging and very time consuming, I would assume. Not knowing your side of things, but we're trying to do a lot of data integration on the omics side, genomics, metabolomics, proteomics, right? All these omics. And it's difficult to say the least.
It's 100%. Most of the time we can pull the data and put it and we can ask questions. But when we go and see the data itself is like, even if the data from a single source, it's so difficult to actually get in. So that's the reason we have something in between the AI workbench to actually make people to come say, you got the data, just check the data, see what you have to do with all that data, and then give it to Athena so that it can actually answer it.
Yeah. So Athena then is it's your own platform where everybody is able to as an open source can able to able to put solutions in there and share with the community, but Athena itself is also providing solutions for the community on her own. Is that do I have that concept right?
Ah, Athena is one part of the ConverSight platform. Athena is where people ask questions
Gotcha.
and they get insights. It's like a chat bot like. Um,
Okay.
you ask questions and you get insights. You can ask questions and you can get insights. This is more ad hoc based insight. So if you have known Power BI and all that, they now call it as a co-pilot, right?
Okay.
Yeah, something like this, but we built it like 6-7 years back.
Sure.
Um, so that's what we did. And the entire platform is enterprise platform. So we don't do B2C normally. Ours is all B2B,
Yep.
and we have customers ranging from small, mid, and enterprises across all functional domains.
That's awesome. And tell us a little bit, if you can, what is it like working at 16 Tech? What advantages, what do you see happening in 16 Tech that you said, oh, this is the place for us to get going?
I have to start like 2-3 years back. We were at Carmel. So it's end of COVID, and we thought we have to all come to office, right?
Yes.
And so we were just hunting for it. And then Ganesh one day came in and said, hey, there is a cool place there at 16 Tech, right? And when we came in, since it's out of the COVID, we had a great option. We have a very nice garage office. You can just open it up, right? I'll talk about the good things, right? So which
Yes.
attracted us. And you just open it up, and we have this great cafeteria. I'll tell you, it's a great cafeteria, and you almost get any of the cuisines you can think about there.
Yeah.
That's, I would say, anybody who come to our office, the first thing is that they get wowed with that cafe, right? It's a food court, separate food court, but it's attached to the 16 tech, right?
Right.
And it's really awesome. That's the first thing I want to start with because, right, it is really cool on that.
It's a big attraction for
Big
sure.
attraction,
That's
big.
the AMP, right? It's called the
Yes,
AMP.
right, yeah.
Yes.
Then coming to 16 Tech itself is the ecosystem which they have now, right? So we have analytics, we have Purdue, we have all the universities here, right? So the ecosystem which they have built now, it's actually great with all the connections which we are getting in. That's the second point. The third is basically the events which is happening in and around. I would say like there is always an event happening here. They are developing a great community, right? And the events also spread across. It is not like just one boring event all the time happening, but I can actually see different events happening here, and I'm being one of a couple of the events. That's really great. And the staffs here, right? I would say like they are really, really, really nice and really great. I never been in place in a situation where I asked for something and it never happened. It actually happens the same day, right? It's awesome, and it's in the right place.
Totally. Totally. It's in the right place. It keeps you centered there, close to other, as you said, organizations, universities, and
Everything.
everything. It's such a neat place. And I do love the food that they have at the AMP. All, as you said, all nationalities, all kinds of,
Yeah.
it was interesting to even hold some events down there because everybody got to enjoy what they wanted to, and everybody had plenty of
You
choice.
have an option. You
Yeah.
have an option every day. So even if you actually have one every day, so
Yeah.
you are still left up with something in a week. Uh,
Yeah.
mm, so
Total.
that's really great and interesting.
Awesome. Awesome. I am so intrigued also by what decision intelligence is going to help us do in the clinics, making better decisions for patients, making better decisions for doctors, nurses. I know there's a lot of interest in this area. I know it might not be your forte or your strength, but what is the opportunity? What is the impact, the future that you see in the clinical operations and in the clinic for AI and large language models for decision intelligence?
I think it's already started happening. So first of all, I'll talk about the underlying technology. If you take LLMs themselves, right? They are from the transformer model, and they are next token prediction models, right?
Mm.
And if you take the language out of it, it's basically like a stream of tokens coming into, right? And it is actually going to predict the next token.
Mm.
Now, instead of the language, if you put a DNA sequence, then the DNA sequence is also a sequence there, right?
Yeah.
And the LLMs can be used for that particular thing, right? The second, I'm not a biotechnology guy, so basically these are what I'm reading, right?
Sure.
And the protein folding, they talk a lot about protein folding in the
Yes.
arena of LLM and a neural network as such, right? And seeing whether they can actually get into a next level, right? So these are from the underlying fundamental technology part of it. When it comes to the LLM part itself, right? there are okay, so we all become a doctor ourselves. Okay. Right. So when we have something, we just go and do, and Google will actually try
Right.
out what to do, right?
Yeah.
Though we don't get a very, I would not say like a cohesive answer. Not that I would not say it's not the right answer. It's not a cohesive answer, and it's not in a way we can understand. I think LLM is going to actually really help in that area.
Mm.
And I've seen already started seeing a couple of startups around this, where you can actually have an low level nurse companion or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's already started happening. The second part on the LLM is, with respect to providers, with respect to doctors who wanted to take notes and all that, where they actually summarize the results and all that. So that is already there. The only part which is preventing today is the hallucination part, right? If not, I would say that it's almost there, right? It's almost there.
Right.
So we don't need somebody else to actually do that today. So they can just come in and they pass it on to an LLM. It will summarize it, and it will also even pick points and do it, right?
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, diagnosis, right? In the decision making to come up. So I don't think we will be in a position to leave the decision making to LLM, but it's all going to be like a suggestive and a recommendation,
Yeah.
right? That's what I think we will leave as of today, right? We
Right.
are we are not in a position to completely trust the LLM yet, right? Uh,
Yes.
so until then, it's going to be like more a suggestive. The decision making, it will aid the decision making, but it's not going to make the decision.
Yeah. No, and barring the privacy laws and the privacy issues, I could see it also being an incredible record keeper of what did the doctor say? What was the recommendation? What were the questions asked? What did the patient say? What was the nurse informed about? All of these things that make sure that the record is there at all times, especially if everybody's carrying a little microphone, all the recording in every room is happening. We are able to, backtrack and learn because the LLMs keep building and growing the more of this information it captures, right?
Yeah, yeah. On the
That's,
research front, it is still, I would say, most of the time it's going to be like more like a Google, but much more pointed, and it is going to really help there. That I definitely see, where it is going to improve the efficiency and productivity of any researcher going forward,
yeah,
right? So they don't have to go and search for it. Now they just have to ask for it. That's it.
yes, yes. And you touched a topic very dear and near to my heart, which is DNA information and then protein and protein information and folding. DNA also folds. DNA has a, three-dimensional structure as well and a quaternary structure. And the same with proteins as well. And there's a lot that we're learning about the the actual structure of DNA and the structure of proteins based on sequences, based on interactions with other proteins and RNA and DNA. My gosh, there's so much there. But I think I see very excitedly what you mean by saying, well, we could string the whole string of DNA, and that's the large language, and we're going to be able to start finding incredible patterns that we might not know about or can't
Exactly.
see. Yeah.
Because it can actually simulate. So LLMs are also a simulators, right? What they are doing internally is basically they are actually referring to each one of what we are actually pushing into it, right?
Yeah.
And they do a lot of permutation combinations in a very large sample space,
Mhm.
right? Getting in all this information into it, and we might not have the right model today, but I think we have the right fundamental theory and technology to start with, right?
Yeah.
Where we can actually simulate in a very hyper billion trillion parameters simulation, which can be done within the LLM.
Right, right. Very well said. There is inherent, for lack of a better term, danger that we lose our individual voices if we're all using LLMs, chat GPTs to create, our resumes, to create whatever pieces of documents and so on, reports per se, uh, in our businesses, in our organizations. But is that okay? Is it okay for us to standardize much of the reporting, much of the what I call minutia, but it's again as it's work that needs to be done, but it is heavy lifting many times, time consuming, and it's monotonous, mundane type work. But is it okay that we would use it then to standardize rather than us saying, well, we're losing our own independent voice in
Yeah.
whatever the report is?
Yeah, I'll go back to this history. So when I have this discussion about we losing something to LLM or but let's go back to the history, right? And I'll just pick one particular scenario and situation here, right? Um, so we had the um, uh, Leonardo da Vinci, right? He was a
Yes.
great painter, right? Assume that way. And if you take a lot of these painters, they visualized and they drew, right? And then paints, and we are still perishing. But what happened today is we have a camera, right? And we take a picture, right? And most of the artistic, we can think it is gone, but what happened is, right, the population of the mobile phone and camera actually opened up a different artistic world, right? Today in Facebook, Instagrams, we see great pictures. Not everybody could have actually painted something, but now everybody can actually take a picture, which they really like in one particular place. They can't draw it, but they can take a picture now. So
Yes.
what happened is basically it has opened up the phone and the camera opened up the world of artism, right? Artistic capability of a person who is not artistic,
Yes. Yes.
right? So the same way, though there is going to be some kind of a negative impact of LLM, but I feel that it is actually going to do the same as an example I gave. This is one example. We can pick a lot of examples from the past, but this is one example where things change for betterment of humanity, right? And I feel when we talk about LLM, if we can actually park the LLM as such, and when you talk about the AI itself, it is going to be for the betterment of humans, right? So that is where I will leave my thoughts. And I always have this discussion, and I always say, take these examples and explain how we were in the history, how we are today, and which definitely helped us. And that is what is going to do. But in short term, there might be impacts, but those are will be like good for in the future.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I think I'm with you. Just like anybody who might have been afraid of the internet at the beginning of being this bad thing, I think we've all seen how much it's enriched our lives, and it's
Exactly.
made things better. There's dangers always everywhere in any new technology, and there's still bad things about the internet, but I think for the most part, our society is in better shape because of it. And I think, this AI revolution, and again, I'll say it again, Gopi, our life changed last year. Things changed in the year 2022, 2023. I think for everybody, it changed. If you're in tune with what's going on and what's
Yeah.
happening in this field that you're talking about. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I think I could keep asking you questions, many questions. Are there any questions that I didn't ask you that you wish I would have asked you?
I, in a sense, I can talk a long day, throughout the day, I can actually talk about AI, LLM, day in and day out. I'm trying to follow. So today the news is Llama 3. I don't know whether you heard about it. So Meta has actually released Llama 3 today.
Okay.
So they have this 8 billion parameter and I think 40 billion parameter. So it's like a fire hose every day. And if you ask me, I can talk um, from the challenges to the infrastructure of the issues we have today, the LLMs, the new ideas which I am thinking, and all that. Right? We can definitely do one another podcast where I can talk about all that.
I would love to. I would really love to. And invite you again anytime to give us an update and how you're doing at ConverSight. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your insights and giving us a glimpse into what this exciting future looks like.
Thank you, Tommy, and thanks for everyone who's listening to this.
Absolutely. Well, have a great day. Gopinath Jaganmohan, the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of ConverSight down at 16 Tech Innovation District in Indianapolis. Thanks for being our Pathfinder today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us once again, and remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.